My name is John Prather. I'm chair of the board. This meeting is being recorded and will be made available on the NOSD website. We are required to provide captioning with the recording, so if you are a guest this evening and wish to speak, when appropriate, please identify yourself so captioning can be more easily built into the recording. Thank you. The first item is approval of the agenda. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, I'd like to change the sequence that after we talk about board position number 1, that we move up the 3 resolutions to more in the front of the agenda. And that way, when we're done with that, if Deb wants to sign off, and or at some point later, if Clark wants to sign off, they can do so. Although Dan informs me that there's a couple things that he has for Clark to discuss. So with that one change, all in favor of accepting the agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. It's unanimous. All right. So, agenda item 3, which is the NOSD vacant board position number 1. We have Mr. Simeon Dreyfus here in attendance, and our other 3 board members are all calling in this evening. And just by way of a very quick background, on December 1st, 2022, the individual in position number 1 moved out of the district and resigned his position. On December 5th, we put out a notice of the vacancy and intent to fill it on the January 19th, 2023 board meeting. This was posted on the Netarts and Oceanside community boards and placed on the NOSD website. Notice was also verbally made at the December Oceanside Neighborhood Association meeting. Mr. Simeon Dreyfus, who is present at this evening's meeting, has expressed interest in being on the board. No other individuals have formally expressed interest in the position. Mr. Dreyfus has also supplied a resume which I have previously provided to board members. Mr. Dreyfus is aware, if approved by the board, that he will fill the position through June 30th, 2023. If he is interested in the remaining term of position number 1, which runs through June 30th, 2025, he will have to be on the ballot for the position for the election that will be held May 16th, 2023. With that, I'd like to have a motion to have Mr. Dreyfus seated as a board member through June 30th, 2023.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor of seating Mr. Dreyfus on the board, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Do you want to move over here? Pretty painless. Welcome. I am updating a thumb drive of a lot of information that you will then have available. Also, you will be receiving a laptop, and we'll talk about that. It still needs to be, could you please sign in?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're late. We had to get away from work. Is this? Oh, cool. Perfect. We'll sit over here and take them.
Okay, we have just had 2 guests show up. This is being recorded, and I would ask that if you, when time is available for you to speak, that you identify yourself, because we also have to prepare captions for the video, so that will help and assist in preparing those captions. So, with that said, the next item would be the 3 resolutions. The new agenda item number 4, and I'll just go through a very short paragraph on this to refresh people's memory. The SDC history: there was a public hearing and subsequent approval by the Board of Ordinance 2202 entitled an ordinance adopting system development charges. The ordinance laid out the general structure and requirements necessary as outlined by state statute in order to adopt SDCs. The board approved and adopted the ordinance on December 15, 2022, with implementation 30 days later on or about January 14, 2023. And we have tonight the 3 resolutions that will be read and then discussed and hopefully approved. They are Resolution 2203, Sewer System Development Charges Methodology Report; Resolution 2204, Sewer System Development Charges Project List; and Resolution 2205, Sewer System Development Charges Schedule. With that, if you would pull up your those resolutions. So, our reading is a resolution 2203, and as I had previously stated, I'll state it one more time. This is the reading of that resolution of Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District adopting a methodology for calculating systems development charges. Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 2203?
Sorry, I'm trying to find it in my board packet real quick.
It's in the very back.
It's right towards the back.
So moved.
Okay. And a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion. This is the methodology. It's the longer report. It's the report. It's the methodology that Deb prepared, and I'm sure you've seen it several times before, and it forms Exhibit A of 2203. Any questions or discussion on that methodology? You will note in the back of the methodology there is a list of items that would be potential projects, and also the fees. Those were thought to also become separate resolutions for ease of future handling, in that if we decide in a year or so to change, say, the fees or the list of items, that could be done more easily than going back to the methodology and changing the methodology, even though they are included in the methodologies. Any further questions?
Dan?
Anything you want to add, Deb? No?
Dan?
No.
You've got it in the lobby.
Yeah, I'm getting her. We're being joined by Chrissy from Webb's.
Chrissy from Webb's, I think.
Yes, it is.
Chrissy? You with us yet?
Her mic is off.
She's still muted.
Her mic is muted.
No, I have no questions, John.
Okay. All in favor of approving resolution 2203, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. And as I said to Simeon, since he's not familiar with this, I didn't feel like we needed to have him vote. He can basically, abstain or just withhold his vote, which is just fine at this point in time, since it's new for him. Chrissy, in the event you want to comment during the guests or public comments portion this evening, we are being recorded, and if you could state your name at that time, since we are required to caption the video that's being recorded that will be on our website. So, with that in mind, we'll proceed to resolution 2204, a resolution of the Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District adopting a systems development charges capital projects list. This was developed from the strategic plan, or that's probably what's the more formal name from it?
You threw me off with strategic plan.
Yeah.
Master plan?
Yeah, the master plan.
The master plan.
Yeah.
So that's the list. It doesn't mean that this is a particular sequence or order, but it is a list of projects that could eventually be addressed, and some of which might very well be addressed through SDCs. So, a motion to approve resolution 2204.
So moved.
So second that.
Any questions or discussion? There being none, all in favor of approving resolution 2204, say aye.
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 Aye. So that's approved unanimously. Resolution 2205, a resolution of Netarts-Oceanside Sanitary District adopting a fee schedule for systems development charges. This, can I have a motion and then we'll discuss briefly?
Move we adopt it.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay. This represents, if you note the SDC schedule, the residential unit, it shows as being, the total SDC as being 13,850. All right, that's up from what, 9,500 was it approximately?
98.
9,800, which was what, 7 or 8 years ago? I think
That's what it is currently.
Yeah.
it was adopted probably
Yes.
about 8 years ago. So there's been a lot of inflation and other factors that Deb put into this for us to arrive at 13,850. You may also remember that there was a change to this resolution. This is the second version that you've received. And my understanding is that if you go down to the third whereas paragraph, this second line where you see future customers, this had read future residents, I believe, or residents of the district. So this was changed. Deb caught this one and offered this change, which is a good one, that this really affects somebody who's going to build in Netarts and Oceanside. So, does anybody have any questions, or Deb, did you want to add anything, or?
I think you're doing a great job.
We'll get there. Does anybody have any comments or thoughts? Now, I will point out one thing, and Dan made mention of this, that if you have somebody that's about to start construction, or I forgot how you phrased it, but you phrased it in a way that this, even though we implement this effective tonight, for those that are in the process of
So-
seeking an SDC,
For those that already did a sewer availability letter, so they could start the process
okay,
with the county.
Right.
So the date on the sewer availability letter requested, anything before tonight would be at the old system development charge, anything after tonight will be at the new increased rate.
okay, but if they have made the request, but it's not approved yet?
Yeah, it could take 3 or 4 months for the county to process it, but
Which,
so they can process to get a building permit.
okay,
But as far as we're concerned, they already started that process.
right, under the old
Yes.
rate.
Yeah.
So, does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, okay. With that, all in favor of approving Resolution 2205, say aye.
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 Aye. All right, it's approved, and all three resolutions are approved. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Deb? You've done a wonderful job for us as our consultant.
Well, thanks to Dan and to Clark also for helping with the whole package. And yeah, I think this puts the fees now in alignment with the master plan, as you said. And the packaging of this was not meant to, be cumbersome for you, but in the future, it'll be much easier to make changes to any of these documents individually because the state has different procedural requirements for each one. So that's the way we did it this way, and hopefully, even though it was a little longer tonight, it'll make it easier for you in the future.
Okay, thank you. So, your choice, if you want to drop off, great. If you want to hang around, you're welcome to hang around.
Good night. Have a good meeting. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
So, the next item is guests, which we have several. We have Chrissy from Webb's and Tamara and our young man here,
Jacob.
Jacob. At this point, do you have any public comments you'd like to make, either from yourself or from Chrissy?
I didn't, I'm really just here to listen again. I'm hoping that we keep some topic around preventive spill prevention top of mind. Just like I said last time, we haven't done it justice, and doesn't feel like we're taking it seriously or a sense of urgency. And I still haven't heard a good plan on how we plan to prevent the next one. That's all. I'm gonna stay with every board meeting and keep on listening, and we'll keep on pushing.
Okay,
But I don't feel like, I don't feel like we're taking any action or making any plans to prevent, so.
Okay.
I
And-
did have a question though on the board position. Is there an open position?
Yes,
Or is that what the topic was I missed?
that was posted the 6th of December.
Oh, okay.
It was a position that was vacated on the 1st of December when the person occupying the position
Okay.
moved out of the district.
It wasn't a new one then, all right.
No, it's one of the 5,
Okay. I wondered why there was only 4.
yeah.
Doesn't
And
make
it
sense.
is now filled, and it will be up for, among other positions, for election. Actually, 4 out of the 5 will be up for election this May.
In May. So the filing for those is,
Excuse me?
the filing for those is pretty soon.
Yeah, it starts, I think, February 4th to March 16th, or thereabouts. Some are for 4 years, 2 of them are, and 2 of them are for 2 years.
Was that because they were appointed?
Excuse me?
Was that because they were appointed and they were backfilling?
Well, it's because the individuals vacated the positions before
And then y'all
their
just-
term was complete. So the positions could only be, we can appoint until the next election at which special districts positions are voted on, which is gonna be May, I think May 16th.
Okay.
Okay. So, any other?
Hey, John,
Yes,
Chrissy's having a problem with, getting connected. When she went on, after her request for public comment, she got dropped.
that was not intentional, I can assure you. Are you talking to her on the phone, or?
She texted me.
She was just on here, I mean, the only thing we knew was her mic was off.
You know, we
That we
had
can
seen her,
see.
and she, we'll take a minute and see if she can try it one more time.
She's
Okay, she just sent, I'm just here to listen.
Okay, okay. All right, so, the board questions, comments, discussion. Is there any at this point in time? If there is none, we have first review of the minutes of the December 15th public hearing, regular board meeting. And I have a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, you have, there was, first, on December 15th, there was a public second reading of the ordinance 2202, and then the approval of that. And then there was the regular board meeting following immediately. So I had 1 or 2 minor edits under the collection system on page 3. I don't know, I guess you could, line 3, the drainage, storm drainage issue that Tillamook County Roads Department needed to address, or needed to install. Should that be just address, or was that the way it was probably?
That was how it was written
It
in
was-
Dan's district report.
Okay. Okay, then, all the way down under capital improvement projects, I'm sure line 3 is, the contracts have been sent to the contractor for execution. I don't think it would be excavation.
You know.
Okay, does anybody have anything else? Any other changes? All right. All in favor of accepting the minutes with those minor changes, say aye.
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 And I think Jerry's saying aye, right?
I did say aye.
Okay, great. And then we have the January 5th special board meeting minutes. A motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. If there's, page 3. Let's see, the second paragraph, I think Jim had a problem signing in and did not attend. Is that correct, Jim?
That's correct.
So that would be 3-0 rather than 4-0. Okay. So unless there's any other questions, all those in favor of accepting the minutes with that one change, say aye.
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 Aye. Unanimous among us 4. And our next item is the financial statements from December 31st. Motion to accept the financial statements.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right. Discussion. This is terrible. Could you go back over that critical section that you had mentioned at the last meeting as far as our funds are concerned? There's a point, was it the, you've pointed it out before, Dan.
Oh, you on the general fund?
I think, was that on the general fund? Yeah, that's on page,
Page 7, is that the one you're talking about?
I think so. Just if you could go back over that again, because I think you explained it really well last month, but if you could do that one more time.
Well, so when you look at the first 6 pages, let's say, of this document, you'll see percentages to the far right. Those are percentages off of budgeted numbers. And of course, we don't receive the ratepayers' pay according to, that. So where you wanna look how your general fund is doing and your user fees are at the district. So what you wanna look at your general fund, that'll tell you how much actual cash you have in the bank. So some months you bring in less and you expend more, some months you bring in more and expend less. So the front pages might give you a false understanding that we, we still have, let's say, 50% left in a budgeted line item when we actually don't have that kind of money on the bottom line. So the board needs to understand that it fluctuates throughout the fiscal year. So you could see that we maybe have 50% left in something or 40%, but if you look at the page 7 on your general fund, you may not have that much cash on hand in the bank. I think that's what you really
Yeah,
need to.
I think so.
Yeah.
So anybody have any questions? Okay. All in favor of approving the financial statements from December 31st, 2022, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved unanimously. All right. And then we have December 22 board audit and accounts payable for review. It's not a board approval item, but we want to take a moment and take a look at it. No questions? Then we'll proceed to the district report.
Okay, you see on the top, we had no violations from the treatment plant on the discharge report. Plant's running pretty well. Some of our efficiencies dropped. We've got inundated with a lot of flows in December, and the plant still performed in the high 90 percentile removal, which is really good. Design of the plant's 500,000 gallons a day, and we received on one day almost 1,980,000, I think. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good operation of the treatment system of the plant. Number 1, collection system. The manholes along the Netarts Bay Road require topographic surveying to verify the rim elevations. When we had the spill incident at the Netarts pump station, the manholes that we were checking were not the manholes that it came out of, the sewer overflowed in. So we have to go back because roads get overlays on them. They come back and they pave them over time. So even though it may be at 2 inches at a time, it raises that rim elevation, which could raise it above another manhole that was maybe lower at one time. So this was something we need to do. I have contacted West Tech. You'll see there's an attachment in here showing what we're talking about. So highlighted in yellow is the alignment of the manholes that we're going to check. The black star more to the left side, that is the location of the Netarts pump station. And so we need to get elevations on the rims of these manholes starting all the way back over here by Wilson, and then up on Netarts Boulevard past the schooner. So you can see how it goes in an arching across, which follows the bay. And so this is the beginning of of a process that we're looking at these rim elevations, so that we can in the future add additional manholes, which would also give us additional storage, which would expand that collection system at that point along the bank.
Which section is
It's with the district report. It should be attached to the paper, to the back of the paper clip stuff that's got my district report on it. You'll see this is
It's the fourth page.
No, but
So,
it's not the operation and maintenance.
Yeah,
It's
that's
within that pack.
yeah, it's within that, yeah.
Thank you.
So I've contacted West Tech Engineering. I've contacted West Tech Engineering so that they could have a look at some options down there for us. So look at some options on either additional manholes being put in for additional capacity to that system or enlarging manholes to that system, but we need to know where all the rim elevations are at this point. We have to identify the lowest elevations that are possible spill points. And obviously that has changed over the years.
So the spill itself didn't occur at the Netarts pump station? It came out of some of the manholes?
It came out of one other adjacent manhole,
Okay,
right in front of the Schooner Restaurant.
all right.
So Dan,
Yeah,
just so I understand, we have to do a site survey to ascertain the current height of the rims?
yes.
Does the height of the rims change when you put on more asphalt, or is it just, do the heights of the rims just change with regard to how much asphalt is around them? I don't understand how the rim heights themselves change, in a way that requires a whole new survey. We can't just, once they're surveyed, they don't stretch up or down, do they? It's just the asphalt around them.
Well,
Or are you talking about?
which
moving
does-
the heck?
So every time they add an 1.5 or 2-inch overlay, we have to go down and put 2-inch manhole riser rings, which actually
That-
will raise the manhole up that 2, 3, 4, 5 inches, whatever they've done, overlays throughout the years.
Okay, thanks.
So that when it was first done, the spill point was identified just down off of Billieu at that manhole in front of the RV park. Well, that didn't happen this time. So because we know the asphalt has been laid, because we go down and give the county the manhole risers ring, the elevation has lifted, so it didn't come out where it's supposed to, where we have to identify it to DEQ. So that has changed, and we have to identify, what the elevations are now.
But what, our previous time that this was done is quite old and out of date, I'm assuming,
2005.
2005. And there has been
Okay.
overlays and other things that have
Yes.
affected
Yes,
the height of the rims.
yes. So ones that were higher are now lower, so it affects, because sewer doesn't come out of the manholes under pressure. It just kind of lifts and oozes out slowly. So it's not like the water's gonna go past a path of least resistance, which that's gonna be the lowest elevation manhole, because that's where it'll start.
Which
Okay,
is,
thank you.
go ahead.
No, I said thank you. I
Oh.
didn't understand risers going in. That answered the question.
Which I'm just kind of assuming, perhaps incorrectly, that it kind of gives you an idea of the contours of what's going on the properties on the roads and close by too, that we have a better idea of what's happening as far as contours go.
How you're using contour, so the road shape, the parking lot shape, those contours don't really change, but
Okay,
the elevations, when they do an overlay, is gonna follow the contour, if that's how you mean it.
yeah,
So it's still gonna follow that same contour. So a manhole that was high is even higher now, even though it's not exposed. I mean, these are gravel. You've driven down the Bay Road, you know how it kind of just does this. Well, the manholes follow those elevations. You can't have them all set at one elevation, otherwise you're gonna hit your oil pan or you're gonna drag on it. So we adjust that to the contour as they do their overlays.
Okay,
So this is probably not the same issue. But I understand that there was a lot of extra water that went into the system potentially through manhole covers.
Yes, so when,
And are these the same manholes, or are they other manholes? Do we know where the water's going in?
well, yes and no. So we have several roads throughout Netarts that into Silver Sands and some of those manholes come completely covered when the road is covered with high water. All those contribute down to this
Yeah,
Bay Road.
yeah,
So everything flows to this or is pumped to this. Okay, so those all contribute as well. So it's not that just the Bay Road becomes submersed, the manholes, and that's where the water came in. The water was coming in throughout the rest of the sewer line wherever there was high water. You see the signs they put up, high water on the road and stuff? Well, whenever you have that across the road and there's a manhole there, all you have is direct water pouring in.
yeah, it's just a drain.
It just turns into a drain.
Yeah,
And it gets bad in some years and we had that this year too, that those 4 pumps at that pump station can't even keep up. I mean, we run in constant high wet well mode all the time. So, but it is contribute throughout many manholes spread out,
Yeah.
not just along the Bay Road.
yeah, I was just thinking that if we could lower the amount of water going into the system somehow, then it helps solve the issue.
We work on II inflow and infiltration, but once a road is submerged, there's no II repair that you can do without raising the road completely up out of the flood zone. Well, I don't think the county's gonna go raise all their roads out of from being flooded, especially when it's something temporary. The pump station is designed, each pair of pumps are designed to pump plus or minus 705 gallons a minute. So when you have all 4 pumps running for hours and hours, we are well over 1,400 gallons a minute, which is you're bringing in more when you slowly watch your water level and your wet well go up, and all 4 pumps are running. You're exceeding that 1,400 gallons per minute. That is not normal II, what you would think would be a hole in the pipe or a crack that would let groundwater in. This is flood condition. And you're not gonna design a pump station large enough with big enough pumps that's gonna overcome the worst floods that you'll ever have.
Thank you for that explanation.
Okay. So what I'm asking the board, I got an estimate from West Tech Engineering to do the topographic survey, and we'll do a more in-depth survey around the pump station in that parking lot, just so we can see where those elevations are. The spill happened at the pump station this time, when we figured if it was gonna spill, it'd be up off Billieu. So we have to check these, because we are gonna have to also update our NPDS permit to identify the new low spot. So it's $14,900, the estimate to do the topo survey on this. The reason I had Clark hang around, I think this and the next step we take to enlarge that collection system to hold more water, more sewer, that's an expansion. And I think that qualifies under our system development charge funds. Right now, we don't have enough in general fund or emergency fund to take on a project fully like this to do the repair. And so I would, instead of having to go to the ratepayers and have to, do another line item do a special project and raise user rates to pay for it, I would like to try to use system development charges. Clark, I'm gonna let you chime in and help me out on this.
Okay, yeah, glad to. So, good evening, everybody. So I think, so number one, this is the beginning of work that will result in capacity increase to your system that will enable additional water to be stored essentially. And so that's a capacity increasing improvement. It's eligible for SDCs under the ordinance that you adopted and then the resolutions that you just adopted tonight. It would be, we could have added it to the project list tonight, but I didn't think that it would be appropriate. I think we ought to get an idea of, what the scope of the project's gonna be and what the cost of the project's gonna be. And then we can come back and by resolution, amend our project list anytime to add this project to it when we know more. And so to the extent that you spend general fund money now on some of this preliminary survey work, when we do the SDC amending resolution on the project list, then you'll be able to reimburse your general fund from your system development charge fund. So I just think it's always better to kind of have the project defined before you stick it on the list and you have an estimate of what that cost is going to be. So I think you're free to proceed. And this actually finally gets back to what Deb Glardy said earlier. We did these 3 resolutions so that if you have to amend something, you can just, it's like working off a menu. You can just pick that one item, change it, and then we're good to go. And so we'll be changing that one resolution with the project list at some point in the future when you have the project defined.
Okay, so that kind of leads into, I'm just gonna go ahead and say where we're going with this, John?
Yes.
Okay, so where we're going with this survey will help us so that there's been talk of overflow tanks, stuff like that to catch sewer that comes out. That's not really an efficient way to attack this. Even if we'd had some sort of a catch basin installed with pumps that would automatically trigger if there's a high wet well, or it would trigger off the overflow probe is what it would trigger off of. That all works if you have power. In this case, we had no electricity, no generator, no nothing. So you wouldn't have got readings, it wouldn't have worked. What we're looking at, and it's a concept at this point, I want to make that clear, it's a concept. Adding in 2 additional 10-foot in diameter to whatever depth the sewer line is, manholes. You could think of them as catch basins, but what these will do, 2 of them, we're estimating is a little over 18,000 gallons of extra storage. What that would buy us in time to get whatever problems we have fixed or get trucks here if there's a total failure is probably another hour under high flow
Bigger
condition.
than the tank at the transfer station.
Yes,
About the same.
yeah.
So you're doubling it that way.
So you're actually tripling the size. These will enlarge the capacity of this sewer system down there. What I've been tasking the engineers to come up with is something that doesn't require mechanicals, power, or anything. So these 2 extra manholes will take as the water rises. So before it comes out of the wet well or another manhole, these would be like storage tanks. And the only maintenance to us is just washing them out. There's nothing in there to break down. There's nothing in there that requires monitoring by pumps and probes or anything. And the best way to not spill is to prevent it from ever coming out to begin with. And this is probably the simplest way with the least amount of overtime cost to the district. It's just basically maintaining another couple of manholes, which we do anyway.
And you probably already said this, but where would these be?
They would be in the sketch that we're doing now. We're gonna see if we can fit them in the asphalt area beside where the wet well is at right now. We'll stick one in the sewer line that runs across the parking lot from the schooner over. Next to the wet well, we'll stick one in that alignment, and then we'll stick one just behind it with a pipe running to it. And these will be at
So
an
Dan, we're gonna get a schematic of this next month, or?
Right now, I have some sketches, but until I get this topographic survey done, we really can't give you a real sketch, because we have to know the depths and rim heights and sizes that we can put in there. So it will probably have to go through Tillamook County Planning, I'm imagining, to put this. So it's not like we can approve it and then you can start building it in the next 30 days. So we're gonna have to go through the planning process, but we need a plan first that the board approves. So,
When you talk to Wes Tech about this, is this something that other systems have?
yes, this isn't anything new that's not used in other jurisdictions. So it's not like we're inventing the wheel here just for us. We're just adapting what others have done.
Right.
So it's probably the least cost with the most effective payback in it. As we have learned, something that never fails, this is the piece that failed in the generator. Down why it would not allow the generator to switch power into the pump station when it went dark. Okay, this has all been replaced. We replaced all of these parts, but if you have a failure, what you need is time to get the pump station up and running. The only thing that's going to stop a spill is those pumps have to run. They have to run. And we need time to get the pumps running if there is a failure. And I met with